Have you ever had that moment when your entire life changes in just a few hours? I'm talking about the kind of plot twist that would make Hollywood screenwriters jealous. That was me, 6 months ago. At 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, I was sitting across from my boss, watching him terminate my 5-year career without even a hint of remorse. By 8 p.m. that same evening, I had secured over $2 million worth of contracts for my brand new startup. The company that threw me away, they're now my biggest competitor. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could be your blueprint for turning disaster into triumph. Welcome to another eye-opening story on Dismissal Diaries, where we transform corporate nightmares into entrepreneurial success stories. I share these real-life experiences because I believe your lowest moment could actually be the foundation of something extraordinary. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to people who, like me, refuse to let a pink slip define their worth. We expose toxic workplace cultures while showcasing the incredible resilience of the human spirit. Before I dive into how I pulled off this career-saving maneuver in just 3 hours, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss a story that might just give you the courage to make your next big move when life throws you a curveball. Let me take you back to that Tuesday afternoon. The office was buzzing with the usual activity, the clickety-clack of keyboards, the hum of conversation, and the occasional burst of laughter from the break room. I was working on finalizing a major client proposal that I'd been nurturing for months. This wasn't just any client. This was Vertex Innovations, a company with deep pockets and even deeper industry influence. Landing them would mean an 8-figure revenue stream over the next 5 years. I remember glancing at my phone. 4 new emails, all from the executive team, all marked urgent. That should have been my first red flag, but I was too focused on perfecting my pitch deck. I had poured my heart and soul into this project, staying late, working weekends, even canceling my anniversary dinner to meet deadlines. This was more than a job to me. It was my passion. At 4:45 p.m., my office phone rang. It was Jessica, the CEO's assistant. "Marcus wants to see you." "Now," she said, her voice uncharacteristically cold. I remember the walk to his office, feeling like a slow-motion scene in a movie. The glass-walled executive suite at the end of the hallway seemed miles away. As I passed by my colleagues' desks, I noticed a few sympathetic glances, a few quickly averted eyes. They knew something I didn't. Marcus didn't even stand when I entered his office. Next to him sat Vince, the HR director, his expression carefully neutral. On the desk between them was a single manila folder. "Take a seat, Alex," Marcus said, gesturing to the chair across from him. I knew what was coming. You don't work in corporate America for a decade without recognizing the setup for what it was: an execution. "We're going to have to let you go," Marcus said, not even bothering with small talk. "Effective immediately." The words hit me like a physical blow. 5 years of 60-hour weeks, missed family events, and unwavering loyalty, reduced to a 5-minute conversation and a severance package. "The company is moving in a different direction," he continued, sliding the folder toward me. "We've decided to restructure the business development team." I found my voice. "What about the Vertex account? I'm presenting to them tomorrow." A flicker of something, discomfort, guilt, crossed Marcus's face. "Tom will be handling that now." Tom, my assistant, the one I'd been training for the past year, the one I'd shared all my strategies with, the one who made half my salary. "You have until 5:30 to clear out your desk," Vince chimed in, glancing at his watch. "I'll escort you." As the initial shock wore off, a strange calm settled over me. I signed the paperwork mechanically, declined the offer to ask any questions, and walked back to my desk with Vince trailing behind me like I was some kind of security threat. I packed my personal items into a cardboard box while curious eyes watched from behind computer monitors, My mind was racing, not with grief or anger, but with rapid calculations. I had exactly 30 minutes before I'd be escorted out of the building, likely never to return. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I sat down at my computer, still logged into the company system. Vince was standing nearby, but he was more interested in his phone than in what I was doing. In less than 5 minutes, I had emailed myself 3 critical files: the complete Vertex proposal with all supporting documentation, the client contact list I'd personally built over 5 years, and the presentation I'd created for tomorrow's meeting. Was this legally questionable? Possibly. Was it morally justified after what they'd just done to me? Absolutely. These were my relationships, my intellectual property, my blood and sweat wrapped up in digital form. I created these materials, these relationships, these opportunities. The company was just a vehicle I'd been using. At exactly 5:27 p.m., I walked out of those glass doors for the last time, a cardboard box in my arms and a fire in my belly. Now, most people in my situation would go home, open a bottle of something strong, and spend the night updating their LinkedIn profile while battling waves of panic about paying their mortgage. But I'm not most people. I drove straight to Riverside Park and sat on a bench overlooking the water. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the grass. I pulled out my phone and made the first of 3 calls that would set my new future in motion. The first call was to David, my former colleague, who had left the company 6 months earlier to start his own marketing consultancy. David and I had always talked about working together someday, but the timing had never been right. "I just got fired," I said when he answered. There was a pause. Then David laughed. "It's about damn time. When can you come over?" 30 minutes later, I was sitting in David's home office, outlining what would become our new company. We had complementary skills, my business development expertise and his marketing genius. We had industry contacts. And most importantly, we had nothing to lose. The second call was to my attorney, Lisa. I needed to know exactly where the legal boundaries were. What could I take with me? What constituted proprietary information? How could we structure a new business quickly without running afoul of my non-compete clause? Lisa was brutally honest. The client list is a gray area. The presentation you created while employed by them technically belongs to the company, but if you reconstruct it from memory using publicly available information and your own expertise, that's different. I listened carefully, taking notes on what I could and couldn't do. By the time we hung up, I had a clear roadmap of how to proceed without putting myself at legal risk. The third call was the boldest. I called James Peterson, the CEO of Vertex Innovations, directly. James and I had built a rapport over the months of preliminary discussions. He'd given me his personal cell number in case anything important comes up. I'd say this qualified. "James, it's Alex," I said, when he answered. "I need 15 minutes of your time. Tonight. It's important." There must have been something in my voice, because James agreed without hesitation. "I'm still at the office. Come by at 7:30. By 7:15, I was sitting in my car outside the Vertex building, rehearsing what I was about to say. This was either going to be the most brilliant move of my career, or the most catastrophic. There was no middle ground. Vertex's headquarters was everything my former company aspired to be. Modern, impressive, exuding success from every angle of its glass and steel exterior. The security guard called up to confirm my appointment, then directed me to the executive elevator. James met me at the elevator doors on the 32nd floor. He was still in his suit, though his tie was loosened, the universal sign of a long day. "This is unexpected," he said, leading me to his office. "Especially considering our meeting tomorrow." I took a deep breath. That's actually why I'm here. There isn't going to be a meeting tomorrow, at least not with me representing Innotech. James raised an eyebrow as he settled into his chair. Go on. I was terminated this afternoon, I said, deciding that directness was my only play. And the team that will be presenting to you tomorrow doesn't have the depth of understanding about your needs that I've developed over the past 6 months. James leaned back, studying me. I appreciate the heads up, but why are you really here, Alex? This was the moment, the point of no return. I'm here because I believe in the vision we've been discussing. The partnership between our companies could revolutionize the industry, but as of 3 hours ago, I'm no longer with Innotech. I'm starting my own firm, and I want Vertex to be our first client. James stared at me for what felt like an eternity. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. You've got balls, I'll give you that, he said, shaking his head. You get fired, and within hours you're trying to poach a multi-million-dollar account? He leaned forward. Why would I take that kind of risk on someone who doesn't even have a company yet? I had anticipated this question. Because you're not investing in a company, James. You're investing in me. The same person you've been working with for months. The same vision, the same expertise, the same commitment, just a different letterhead. I opened my laptop and pulled up a document I'd created during the drive over. Here's my proposal. Same deliverables we've been discussing. Same timeline. Same budget. The only difference is that now you'll be getting the undivided attention of the founder, not just another employee who might be reassigned at any moment. James took his time reviewing the document, asking pointed questions that I answered with confidence. I knew this proposal inside and out. I had created it, after all. After what seemed like an eternity, James closed my laptop and slid it back across the desk to me. You understand, I'll need to run this by legal, by the board, he said. I nodded, trying to mask my disappointment. It had been a long shot anyway. But James continued, off the record, I like you, Alex. I like your hustle. And between us, I was never fully comfortable with Innotech. Too corporate, too many layers of bureaucracy. He stood up, extending his hand. Send me the paperwork for your new company as soon as you have it. I can't promise anything, but I'll make sure your proposal gets a fair hearing. I shook his hand, barely able to contain my excitement. It wasn't a yes, but it was far from a no. As I drove home that night, my mind was racing with possibilities. By the time I pulled into my driveway, it was just after 8 p.m. Exactly 3 hours since I'd been fired. I sent a text to David. We might have our first client, a big one. What happened next still feels like a blur. David and I worked through the night, drafting articles of incorporation, creating a website, setting up business accounts. By dawn, we had a name, Nexus Strategies, and the bones of a company. Lisa, my attorney, filed our paperwork on an expedited basis. James from Vertex called 2 days later with a list of revisions to our proposal. By the end of the week, the same week I had been fired, we had a signed letter of intent from Vertex Innovations, agreeing to a 12-month contract worth $1.7 million. But here's where the story gets even better. Word travels fast in our industry. When people heard that I had left Innotech and taken the Vertex account with me, my phone started ringing. Former clients, colleagues, even competitors reached out, curious about this new venture that had seemingly appeared overnight. Within a month, we had signed 3 more clients. Within 3 months, we had to hire staff to handle the workload, and 6 months later, which brings us to today, Nexus Strategies has 18 employees, a downtown office, and a client list that my former employer would kill for. Oh, and Tom? The assistant who was supposed to replace me? He works for us now. Turns out, he was just as disgusted by how Innotech treated me as I was. Now, I'm not telling you this story to brag. I'm telling it because I learned some crucial lessons during those 3 pivotal hours between getting fired and founding a successful company, and I want to share them with you. First, your value doesn't disappear when your job does. The skills, relationships, and knowledge you've built belong to you, not your employer. Innotech didn't just lose an employee when they fired me. They lost everything I brought to the table. Second, sometimes the worst thing that happens to you can be the catalyst for the best thing that will ever happen to you. If I hadn't been fired, I might still be working 60-hour weeks making someone else rich. Being pushed off that cliff forced me to build wings on the way down. Third, timing is everything. Had I waited even a day to call James at Vertex, the opportunity might have been lost. The window between disaster and opportunity is often vanishingly small. You have to be ready to leap through it. Fourth, you need people in your corner. I couldn't have done this alone. David provided the partnership I needed. Lisa gave me the legal guidance to protect myself. James took a chance on a brand new company because of the relationship we had built. And finally, the most important lesson. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back from failure. It's about bouncing forward into something better. Getting fired wasn't the end of my story. It was barely the beginning. I want to be clear about something. What happened to me isn't exceptional. It's exceptional that I was prepared to act, that I had built the relationships and skills needed to pivot quickly, that I didn't allow myself to wallow in self-pity. But the opportunity itself? That exists for everyone who's ever faced a professional setback. Your version might not involve starting a company. It might be finding a better job, pursuing a passion project, or reinventing yourself in an entirely new field. But I guarantee that within every professional disaster is the seed of something greater, if you have the courage to nurture it. That meeting where I was fired? It lasted exactly 11 minutes. The decision that changed my life took less than a second, and the actions that created my new future happened in just 3 hours. Think about that the next time you're facing a setback. How will you use those crucial hours? Will you collapse, or will you build? Will you retreat, or will you advance? The choice, as it was for me, is entirely yours. So there you have it. How I went from fired to founder in just 3 hours. If my story resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your own professional plot twists in the comments below. Have you ever turned a career disaster into an opportunity? What did you learn from the experience? This channel is all about sharing these transformative moments and helping each other navigate the often treacherous waters of professional life. If you found value in this video, please hit that subscribe button and join our community of resilient professionals who refuse to let setbacks define their futures. New videos every Wednesday, each featuring a real story of career redemption. Until next time, remember, sometimes getting fired is just the universe's way of promoting you to CEO of your own life.